Today, we're going to be going over the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Buccaneers' Week 1 victory over the Washington Commanders by a final score of 37-20. This is a game the Buccaneers dominated from start to finish. Jump out to a 13-0 lead, never look back. There were a few chances that the Commanders had to get back into the game. Every chance that they had, the Buccaneers slammed the door. And I'll admit, there's not going to be too much bad and ugly, honestly. A lot of this is going to be good stuff here. When you win a game by 17 points, it's going to be pretty good. Let's get right into it now with the quarterback himself. We're going to start off with Baker Mayfield. Mayfield played, arguably his best game as a Buccaneer. Arguably, you could say it was his best game as a Buccaneer. 24 of 30, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 146.4. But what he did that was so impressive was something that's not going to show up in the stat sheet. Avoiding sacks, avoiding pressure, being able to improvise with his legs, extend the play, and make a few key plays. There were a few times the Buccaneers needed Mayfield to make a play. He did just that, not just through the air, but also on the ground with his legs, being able to avoid those sacks. Sometimes the offensive line, it got collapsed in on. Mayfield was able to avoid. It had to be 4 or 5 different times that he was avoiding sacks, and extending some sort of play, whether it be he took it himself or he's able to find open receiver. That's very valuable to an offense when you have a quarterback that can do that. And Mayfield showed out on Sunday. So a great start to the 2024 campaign for Baker Mayfield. Then we want to touch on Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, the wide receiver duo. Mike Evans, look, 2 touchdowns, the first touchdown of 2024 for the Buccaneers. He had the first touchdown of the last 2 seasons for the Buccaneers as well. He finished with 5 catches for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin had 8 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. This was a throwback Chris Godwin performance. 2019-2020 Chris Godwin performance here, where it felt like every time the Buccaneers needed something big, whether it was a third down, second and long, whatever it may be, anytime they needed to move the sticks, it was Chris Godwin. And that was really good to see, especially because, look, Godwin was good last year, but he wasn't as effective, I feel like. So it's nice to see Chris Godwin really get back to what he was when he last played in the slot under Bruce Arians. So with Liam Cohen now in the fold, Godwin's going to be playing in the slot a little bit more. And so far, so good for that duo. And look, when they're both on, it's tough to stop. The last one I want to say for the offense is Bucky Irving. Bucky the Buck, right? Bucky the Buck in his debut, his rookie season debut here for the Buccaneers, had 9 carries for 62 yards, a long of 31. That's an average of 6.9 yards a carry. That's really efficient. That's, look, obviously not sustainable per season, but in a game, that's really good. And this is not, I repeat, not a slight on Rachaad White at all, okay? But there is a difference when you see Rachaad White run the football versus when you see Bucky Irving run the football. It's just different. There's more burst. There's more acceleration. Rachaad White, he has a different running style. That's fine. He's more of a patient runner. He likes the lane to open up and then hit it. Bucky just goes, right? And it's very clear and evident that Bucky Irving is going to be getting more and more snaps, I honestly think. I think he's going to work into the offense a bit more as the season goes on, and very impressive for Bucky Irving in his rookie debut. Moving on to the defensive side of things, I thought Jordan Whitehead had a really good day. 8 total tackles, led the team in tackles, had a near interception. He almost had the ball. But Jordan Whitehead, I thought, in his return to Tampa Bay, his second stint with the Buccaneers, thought he did really well. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, which, hey, he's finally a name that's going to be on here. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka had a sack and a forced fumble. Unfortunately, the Buccaneers couldn't come up with that fumble, but it's good to see JTS do this in a contract year. It's a big year for JTS, and he's a guy they're going to need if they want to go very far in the NFC or even, the NFL in general. JTS is a guy they're going to need to develop this year. So we're hopeful that JTS can have a big year, but it was a pretty good start for him on Sunday. And then also want to shout out Chase McLaughlin, Money Mac, as we call him on the show. I know there was little bit of concern, right? He missed 2 kicks back-to-back preseason games, 3 for 3 on field goals, 4 for 4 on extra points, 7 for 7 on the day, including a 56-yarder, which was the very first drive the Buccaneers had. Money. I mean, this guy's just money. So absolutely money from Money Mac there. No worries about him at all. That's going to wrap up the good. Let's get to the bad, which honestly, in a 37-20 victory, there's not going to be too much bad, I will say. Maybe Jake Camarda. It does suck that he's on here. He had 1 punt. I mean, it's kind of some rough sample size, I guess. But he had 1 punt. Was a little bit on the shorter side, so not great. I will say the bad is the injuries. The injuries is the bad as well. Bryce Hall, most likely, I Bleav, out for the season. Got Eric casted. Not good. Really not good. I Bleav Greg Allman had said that he had dislocated his ankle and fractured his fibula. It's the same injury he sustained at Virginia, but in the other leg. Not good. That really sucks. Bucs cornerback room takes a hit, and it sucks for a guy like Bryce Hall, who was really, fixing to be a piece, a depth piece for the Buccaneers. Zion McCollum also went down with a concussion. His status is up in the air for next week against Detroit. So the injuries were piling up. I don't know. Levante David left the game for a period there. He was able to return, but he did leave the game. Antoine Winfield Jr., Pewter Report said that Winfield, after the game, was in a walking boot. We don't know about that. Any updates on him right now? The severity of that, Pewter Report did say he was in good spirits. So we're going to put the injuries as the bad. And then the ugly, I'll say the officiating and those Commanders uniforms. How about that? The officiating, I did not think was very good. There was a couple holds I did not feel were holds were called on Tampa Bay. And then there was the helmet to helmet where Winfield hits Jayden Daniels and the helmet pops off and they throw the flag there on Winfield. I don't really understand it. Feels like if the helmet didn't pop off, they probably wouldn't have thrown it, to be completely honest with you. And then, look, the Commanders uniforms, just not good. They're just not good. I don't know why you had to change something that was decent, right? Should have just changed the name of the team, whatever. But you didn't have to change those uniforms. Don't love those jerseys. But let me know what your good, bad, and ugly is. I'm always curious to see and hear what they are. We're going to be doing this after every game this year. So there's going to be a list after every single game. I'm always curious to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Do you agree with my list? Again, it's just my list. I would love to hear yours. So let me know in the comment section below. But thank you all for watching. If you have not watched our game review of the Buccaneers Week 1 victory, where we go even more in depth about all that stuff, we take your calls. It's up. It is available on YouTube, and it's also available anywhere you can find a podcast. So be sure to check that out on YouTube right now. But thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And go Bucs.